England may be rich in history, but beneath the vast countryside, cobbled streets, and ancient inns lies something far more sinister. From shadowy castles where disembodied screams and footsteps echo through empty halls, to ancient pubs where doors slam shut when nobody is around. These are more than just ghost stories. They're real locations where the line between the living and the dead is dangerously thin. So grab a snack, dim the lights, and prepare for a spine-chilling experience. I'm your host, Severed Soul. Behind the modern streets of Derby, England, lies a chilling piece of history. A place where pain, punishment and death once echoed through its stone walls. This is Derby Jail. Built in the 18th century, Derby Jail was once one of several grim holding facilities in the area. Back then, the justice system was just brutal. Even the smallest crimes could land you behind bars, or worse. Petty theft, you could be hanged. Find yourself in debt, expect to rot in a cold, damp cell for years. This wasn't just a jail, it was a place of torment and final farewells. But it's not just the dark history that draws people to Derby Jail today, it's the paranormal activity. After closing in the 1800s, Derby Jail faded into obscurity until it was partially restored in the 1990s by paranormal investigator Richard Felix. And that's when the hauntings really started to come to light. Visitors began reporting cold spots, disembodied voices, and an overwhelming feeling of being watched. Some even claimed to see shadowy figures lurking in the corners, especially near the condemned cell, where prisoners spent their final nights before walking to the gallows. One of the most notorious spirits believed to haunt Derby Jail is that of Richard Thorley, a murderer hanged just outside the prison. Witnesses have seen his apparition pacing the corridor, restless and angry. Others speak of a heavy male presence in one of the cells, known to lash out at visitors with scratches and sudden bursts of energy. And it doesn't end there. Paranormal investigators have captured EVPs, sudden temperature drops, and unexplainable knocks and footsteps. Some say the very walls of Derby Jail are soaked with centuries of pain, and that energy doesn't just fade, it lingers. What makes Derby Jail even more terrifying is its location. Derby has often been called one of the most haunted cities in the UK, and this old jail sits right in the heart of it. It's not just a haunted building, it's part of a haunted landscape. Today, Derby Jail is open to the public. You can walk through the dark, cramped cells, see instruments of punishment still on display, and, if you're brave enough, join one of the overnight ghost hunts. But be warned, many visitors leave with more than they bargained for. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, one thing is for sure. Derby Jail is a place where history and horror are locked together in a cell that will never truly be closed. Hidden beneath the quiet countryside of Kidderminster lies a vast and eerie underground world. One that whispers secrets of war, tragedy, and something far more unsettling. This is the story of the Drakelow Tunnels, a labyrinth of shadowy passageways steeped in history and hauntings. The Drakelow Tunnels were originally built during World War II, carved into sandstone beneath Kingsford Country Park. This massive underground facility was constructed as a shadow factory, part of a strategic plan to keep British military production alive in the event of aerial bombings. It was operated by the Rover Car Company, which produced parts for military vehicles and aircraft. In total, over 3.5 miles of tunnels were dug, vast enough to house hundreds of workers, and even a power supply, water system, and air filtration. After the war, Drakelow didn't fade into obscurity. Instead, it evolved. During the Cold War, the tunnels were repurposed as a potential nuclear bunker for regional government use. In the event of nuclear war, officials would retreat to these cold concrete halls to run the country from below ground. It's a place designed for survival, but it's what didn't survive that may still linger today. As the years passed and the facility was eventually decommissioned, Drakelow tunnels began attracting attention for a different reason altogether: paranormal activity. Visitors, ghost hunters, and even paranormal investigators have reported disturbing phenomena within the tunnels. Strange echoes, footsteps where no one walks, the feeling of being watched, and sudden drops in temperature, even when deep underground and far from the outside world. Some have seen shadow figures darting through the darkness, while others claim to have heard whispering voices echoing through the corridors. One of the most commonly reported apparitions is that of a man believed to have died during the construction of the tunnels, crushed by a falling rock. His ghost is said to still roam the hallways, sometimes appearing as a misty figure or as a heavy presence that causes equipment to fail or lights to flicker. Another chilling tale speaks of a restless soldier, spotted in full military uniform, silently pacing the tunnels before vanishing into the walls. Is he a remnant of Drakelow's wartime past, or something else entirely? Even experienced paranormal teams have reported extreme unease and unexplainable technical issues while investigating the site. Cameras fail, batteries drain, and EVP sessions pick up whispers that no one present heard at the time. Today, parts of the Drakelow tunnels are open for guided tours and ghost hunts for those brave enough to step inside. But be warned, many who enter leave with more questions than answers. Whether it's residual energy from decades of wartime activity or something darker buried beneath the surface, one thing is for sure: Drakelow is not just a tunnel system, it's a portal to the past, and maybe to the other side. Hidden in the quiet countryside of Somerset, England, lies a place with a dark and chilling past. HMP Shepton Mallet, one of the oldest prisons in the UK. From its opening in 1610 to its final closure in 2013, this foreboding fortress has seen over 400 years of executions, despair and death. And some say those who perished never truly left. Originally built to house just 50 prisoners, Shepton Mallet quickly became overcrowded, grim and brutal. During its early years, inmates endured horrific conditions. Disease was rampant, cells were tiny, and punishments were severe. It wasn't just a place of confinement, but a site of public executions and torture. But the prison's darkest chapter came during World War II, when it was taken over by the British Army and later used by the Americans. This is where the walls absorbed unspeakable pain. It became the site of multiple military executions, including hangings and even firing squads. Between 1942 and 1945, 18 American servicemen were executed within these stone walls, some for murder, others for SA. Many of their bodies were buried in unmarked graves, and it's said their souls still linger in the shadows. Over the centuries, countless inmates died behind those cold limestone walls, whether from disease, violence, or the hangman's noose. And according to former guards, staff and paranormal investigators, something remains. Paranormal activity at Shepton Mallet is well documented and deeply unsettling. Visitors report the sound of disembodied footsteps echoing through empty cell blocks, distant whispers, slamming doors, and the eerie feeling of being watched. Some have even claimed to see full-bodied apparitions, shadowy figures standing silently at the end of dark corridors, only to vanish into thin air. One of the most active areas is A-Wing, where death row inmates were once held. The atmosphere here is heavy. Many report cold spots, unexplained banging, and sudden, overwhelming feelings of dread. Others say the execution chamber itself is haunted, that if you stand too long inside, you may feel an invisible force brushing past, or hear the faint creak of a rope swaying from the gallows. Even seasoned ghost hunters have left the prison shaken. Teams using spirit boxes and EMF detectors often pick up strange voices and inexplicable readings. One investigator reported being scratched across the back in an empty corridor. Another claimed to have seen a man in prison uniform staring at them through the bars of a locked cell. Today, HMP Shepton Mallet stands as a preserved monument to its haunted legacy. No longer a working prison, it's now open for tours, history walks, and for the brave paranormal investigations after dark. But if you do visit, be warned. Many who visit say they bring back more than just memories with them. Because at Shepton Mallet, the walls don't just remember the past, they whisper it. If you enjoyed this dive into Shepton Mallet's haunted history, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for a feast of grim and grisly content. And tell us, would you dare to spend the night alone inside? Let us know in the comment section down below. Beneath the quiet countryside of West Wickham, Buckinghamshire, lies a chilling network of tunnels shrouded in darkness, mystery, and legend. These are the Hellfire Caves, a place where secret societies once gathered. Whispers of the occult echoed through the stone corridors, and where shadows may still hold secrets that have never seen the light of day. Let's dive into the eerie history and hauntings of one of England's most mysterious underground locations. The Hellfire Caves were commissioned in the mid-1700s by Sir Francis Dashwood, founder of the notorious Hellfire Club. At first glance, the caves had a practical purpose. They were dug by local workers to mine chalk and flint, materials used to repair a nearby road. But that was just the surface story. Once complete, these winding passageways became the meeting place for Dashwood's secret society, the Order of the Knights of St. Francis of Wickham, better known as the Hellfire Club. This elite group included influential politicians, writers, and aristocrats. And what they did down there? That's where things get strange. The Hellfire Club was infamous for its debauchery, mock religious ceremonies, and rumoured occult practices. Meetings were shrouded in secrecy, filled with heavy drinking, hedonism, and possibly even satanic rituals. Some say members would don robes, hold black masses, and summon forces they couldn't control. The caves themselves are symbolic, twisting deeper into the earth. The tunnels mimic a descent into the underworld. At the very end lies the so-called Inner Temple, an eerie chamber located directly beneath St. Lawrence's Church and its Golden Ball Tower. Coincidence? or a deliberate design to create a connection between heaven and hell. It's no surprise that the Hellfire Caves are said to be haunted. Over the centuries, visitors and staff alike have reported chilling experiences, whispers in the darkness, footsteps echoing from empty tunnels, sudden drops in temperature, and the feeling of being watched. One of the most famous spirits said to haunt the caves is Suki, a servant girl allegedly lured into the tunnels by men who intended to humiliate her. Her body was later found in the caves, and many believe her restless spirit still roams the tunnels, seeking justice or revenge. Others claim to have seen dark figures vanishing into the walls, or glowing orbs floating down the passages. Paranormal investigators have even caught unexplained voices on audio and strange anomalies on camera. Today, the Hellfire Caves are open to the public, offering tours that blend fascinating history with eerie atmosphere. But many believe the energy left behind from centuries of rituals and debauchery still lingers in the air. Whether you're a history buff, a paranormal enthusiast, or just someone looking for a spooky adventure, the Hellfire Caves are a place where the past never quite stays buried, and the deeper you go, the darker it gets. So, would you dare walk the tunnels of the Hellfire Caves? Would you spend the night beneath the earth, where the echoes of the Hellfire Club still whisper through the shadows? Let me know in the comments what you think. Is it just history and myth, or something much more sinister? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more dark tales from haunted Britain. Nestled in the rolling countryside of Lancashire, England, lies a hill with a chilling past. Pendle Hill. Today, it might look like just another peaceful patch of English landscape, but don't let its calm exterior fool you. This hill holds centuries of fear, superstition, and some of the most infamous witch trials in British history. Let's go back to the year 1612, a time when accusations of witchcraft often meant death, and fear of the devil ran rampant across the land. In the shadows of Pendle Hill, two families, the Devises and the Chattoxes, were known as healers, herbalists, even wise women. But when a travelling merchant fell mysteriously ill after an encounter with Alison Devis, the floodgates opened. One accusation led to another. Neighbours turned on neighbours. Even children were used as witnesses. In total, 12 people were accused of witchcraft. 10 of them would be hanged at Lancaster Castle after being charged with everything from causing death through sorcery to making pacts with the devil himself. What makes the Pendle witch trial stand out, even now, is how detailed the records are. It's one of the best documented witch trials of the 17th century, and it's often called Britain's answer to Salem. But here's where things get really eerie. Even after 400 years, Pendle Hill still hasn't shaken off its dark reputation. Locals, hikers, and ghost hunters all report strange phenomena in the area. Phantom footsteps, disembodied voices, and shadowy figures spotted moving through the mist. The site of the trials, Lancaster Castle, is said to be haunted by the spirits of the condemned. Paranormal investigators have picked up unexplained EVPs, temperature drops, and even screams from empty cells. And Pendle Hill itself, some say the air changes when you climb it, becomes heavier, colder. There's a sense you're not alone. Some visitors claim to hear whispers in the wind, while others report being overcome with dread or emotion. Today, Pendle embraces its haunted legacy. You'll find witch-themed trails, museums, and even ghost walks drawing thousands of curious visitors every year. But be warned, this isn't just a tourist tale. The shadows of the past are very much alive here. So, if you ever find yourself in Lancashire, staring up at that misty hill, just remember, you are standing on ground where fear once ruled, and some say, still does. If you enjoyed this dive into the dark history of Pendle Hill, hit the like button, subscribe, and tap the bell icon so you don't miss the next creepy episode. And let us know in the comments, would you visit Pendle Hill at night? Built in 1750, high on the wind-swept moors of Cornwall, stands a lonely, time-worn building cloaked in legend and shadow. This remote coaching inn was never just a place to rest your head. It was a haven for smugglers, wreckers, and whispers of death. This is the Jamaica Inn. Set deep within the Bodmin Moor, a place already steeped in eerie folklore, Jamaica Inn quickly became a den of criminal activity. But what unfolded within its stone walls would stain it with something much darker, something that still lingers in the night. Smuggling was rampant across the Cornish coast in the 18th and 19th centuries. Goods like brandy, tobacco and tea were brought ashore under cover of darkness, often salvaged from ships that had been lured to their doom by false beacon lights. These ships would crash upon the docks, their crew left to drown or be murdered on the shores, and the cargo would be carted away to hideouts like the Jamaica Inn. It's said that the screams of drowning sailors still echo across the moors, carried on the cold wind to the inn's doorstep. And inside, the ghosts remain. Over the centuries, countless guests have reported the unexplainable. Footsteps pacing empty corridors, doors that slam of their own accord, and the feeling of being watched by an unseen presence. But one ghost is seen more than any other. A phantom man in a tricorn hat and a long cloak, standing silently in the courtyard before vanishing into thin air. According to legend, he was a smuggler, murdered in the dead of night after stepping outside for a moment of fresh air. His killer was never caught. To this day, his spirit is said to roam the grounds, searching for justice, or perhaps revenge. Room 5 is where the air turns coldest. Visitors have awoken to the sensation of being pinned to the bed, unable to move, with the crushing weight pressing down on their chest. Others have seen shadowy figures often drifting across the room, disappearing through solid walls. Even the pub itself isn't safe. Patrons have heard muffled conversations in Cornish dialects from empty corners, seen glasses slide off tables, and caught glimpses of spectral figures in the mirror behind the bar. In 1936, author Daphne du Maurier stayed at the inn. Her experience was so unsettling, so atmospheric, that it inspired her to write the gothic novel Jamaica Inn, a tale of crime, betrayal, and ghostly secrets, forever tying the inn to the world of supernatural fiction. But fiction has nothing on the real thing. To this day, the Jamaica Inn remains open to guests, to thrill seekers, and, it seems, to spirits. Paranormal investigators, psychics, and skeptics have all tried to explain the strange happenings. None have succeeded. So, if you ever find yourself driving across the lonely Bodmin moors, and the fog starts to roll in thick and fast, you may hear the creak of an old sign swaying in the wind. And feel an icy chill crawl up your spine, because the ghosts of Cornwall's dark past don't rest easy, and at the Jamaica Inn, they're still watching. Tucked away in the cobbled heart of Bristol lies a building with more ghosts than guests. A place where shadows linger and footsteps echo long after the living have gone. This is the Llandodja Tro, and its walls are soaked with stories that chill to the bone. Built in 1664, the Llandodja Tro is one of Bristol's oldest and most haunted pubs. Its black timber-framed exterior leans slightly, as if weighed down by centuries of secrets. Inside, narrow corridors and warped floors whisper of a time long past, a time when sailors, smugglers, and scoundrels roamed the port city, and death was just a heartbeat away. The name Llandodja Tro itself is a nod to its maritime past. A tro was a flat-bottomed boat that ferried cargo between Wales and England. The pub is said to have been founded by a retired sailor from the Welsh village of Llandodja, and from the very beginning, the sea wasn't the only thing following him inland. Legend has it the pub became a haven for more than just thirsty travellers. Beneath its floors and behind its walls, secrets festered. Some say that Llandodja was a meeting point for pirates. Others whisper of hidden tunnels stretching from the cellar all the way to the harbour, perfect for smuggling both goods and bodies. But the most enduring tales are those of the dead who never left. The most chilling ghost said to haunt Llandodja Tro is that of a crippled young boy, seen hobbling across the upper floors, dragging his twisted foot behind him. No one knows exactly who he is, or how he died, but staff and guests alike have reported hearing his uneven footsteps above them, even when the rooms were empty. Glasses have been known to slide off tables on their own. Doors slam violently, with no breeze. Some visitors claim to have been pushed on the stairs. Others to have felt a cold, unseen hand wrap around their wrist in the dark. Perhaps even stranger is the sheer number of ghosts said to reside here. According to paranormal investigators, the Llandodja Tro is home to at least 15 restless spirits. Some whisper, some scream, and some simply watch from the shadows. In one infamous encounter, a bartender locking up late at night turned to see a man dressed in 18th century naval garb standing at the end of the bar, only for him to vanish into thin air when approached. Another guest reported hearing a low growl in their ear, despite being completely alone. But the stories don't end there. The Llandodja Tro's haunted reputation is so notorious, in fact, that it's believed to have inspired parts of Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island, and even played host to Daniel Defoe, who may have heard the very whispers that inspired Robinson Crusoe. Even in silence, the Llandodja Tro breathes, waiting, watching, remembering. So, if you ever walk down King Street late at night and feel a chill creep up your spine, don't be so quick to dismiss it. You might just be passing one of the most haunted buildings in all of England. Nestled in Nottingham's Lace District Market, the National Justice Museum stands as a testament to centuries of legal history and human drama. Housed within the formidable walls of the former Shire Hall and County Jail, this Grade II listed building has borne witness to a myriad of judicial proceedings, incarcerations, and executions, making it a focal point for both history enthusiasts and seekers of the paranormal. The origins of this storied site trace back to at least 1375, with records indicating its use as a court of law. By 1449, it had expanded to include a prison, solidifying its role in the administration of justice. Over the centuries, the complex evolved, encompassing Victorian courtrooms, Georgian jails, and ancient cells, each echoing with the tales of those who passed through. Public executions were a grim reality here, with the last occurring in 1864, marking the end of a dark chapter in its history. Given its extensive and often sombre past, it's little wonder that the National Justice Museum has garnered a reputation for being one of the UK's most haunted locations. Visitors and staff alike have reported unsettling experiences, from sudden feelings of nausea and unease, to sightings of shadowy figures and unexplained noises. Particularly notorious are the subterranean areas. Deep within the museum is an area known as the pits. This area evokes a palpable sense of dread. Reports include sensations of sickness, the feeling of being touched, and the sound of disembodied footsteps. Dark apparitions have also been sighted, adding to its ominous reputation. However, the area considered to be the epicenter of paranormal activity is down in the caves. This section has been the site of poltergeist phenomena. Objects are known to move inexplicably, with crosses being thrown and loud, unaccounted for noises echoing through the chambers. Visitors have recounted being touched by unseen hands and witnessing stones being hurled without discernible cause. Costumed characters bring historical narratives to life, guiding visitors through authentic spaces like the Victorian courtroom and the ancient cells. Special events such as after-hours ghost tours invite the curious to delve into the museum's spectral side, offering a chance to perhaps encounter the lingering spirits firsthand. Whether drawn by its rich historical tapestry or the allure of the unknown, the National Justice Museum stands as a monument to justice's multifaceted story, inviting all who enter to explore its depths and perhaps uncover the secrets that refuse to stay buried. Nestled deep in the heart of Stratford-upon-Avon, the birthplace of Shakespeare himself, lies a place where time has not only stood still, but grown twisted and dark with age. Preserved fragments of England's most brutal and mysterious era, and one of the most haunted places in the entire country. Welcome to the Tudor World Museum. This isn't your average historical tour. The building that houses the museum dates back over 400 years, surviving plagues, executions, and civil unrest. Once a bustling tavern and brothel during the Tudor period, its timber-framed walls have soaked in centuries of suffering, sin, and secrets. Beneath the creaking floorboards and behind warped doors, it's said that the echoes of the past have never truly faded. They've lingered, watching. Visitors come for the history, but many leave with a feeling of being watched, followed, even touched. The museum's winding corridors and dimly lit chambers are filled with eerie recreations of Tudor life. Plague doctors, gallows, torture devices, all disturbingly lifelike. But it's not the mannequins people fear. It's what moves when nothing should. Paranormal investigators have long suspected something dark lurks here. Some say it's the spirit of a young girl, seen sobbing in the corner of the old tavern room. Others report a malevolent presence in the dungeon area, an unseen force that whispers in your ear or grips your arm in the cold, musty dark. The most terrifying stories come from those brave enough to stay after hours. Footsteps echo in empty halls. Doors slam for no reason. And once, a visitor swore they saw a shadow figure glide across the floor, just inches from where they stood, vanishing through the stone wall as if swallowed by time itself. Even the museum staff, hardened by years of retelling these tales, admit there are rooms they'd rather not enter alone. But perhaps the most unnerving part of all is this. No one really knows how many lives passed through these walls. How many desperate souls perished during the plague. How many wrongfully executed. How many secrets still trapped in its timber frame. So, if you find yourself in Stratford-upon-Avon and you're drawn to the darker side of history, step inside the Tudor World Museum. Just be aware that once you enter, you're not alone, and something may just follow you home. Deep in the heart of Gloucestershire, nestled in a secluded valley near Stroud, lies a building frozen in time. A place of mystery, abandonment, and restless whispers from the past. This is the haunting of the Woodchester Mansion. At first glance, it looks like a grand Gothic revival home, with its ornate stonework and looming towers. But step closer, and the illusion begins to crack. Behind its majestic facade lies an eerie truth. The mansion was never finished. Inside, staircases lead to nowhere. Rooms open into black voids, and the air is unnaturally still. It's as if time stopped, and something else took over. Construction began in the mid-1800s, replacing an earlier Georgian house owned by the wealthy Lee family. The new owner, William Lee, a devout Catholic, envisioned a spectacular mansion built on strong spiritual principles. But strange events began to unfold. Builders walked off the job without explanation. Craftsmen refused to return. Stories of shadows moving on the scaffolding and whispers in the empty halls began to circulate. Eventually, the project was abandoned, mid-build, as if cursed. And that is where the true darkness began to fester. Locals believe Woodchester Mansion is indeed cursed, not just haunted, but alive with something ancient. Beneath the house lies a complex network of underground streams and limestone caverns long associated with supernatural activity. Some say the land was sacred long before the first stone was ever laid. Others claim it's a gateway to something that shouldn't be disturbed. Over the decades, countless visitors have reported terrifying encounters. Ghostly monks drifting through corridors, the sound of footsteps pacing the upper floors when no one else is inside, disembodied screams echoing from the chapel. Paranormal investigators have been scratched, pushed, and even choked by unseen hands. Equipment fails, batteries die, cold spots appear in rooms that should be warm. One of the most chilling tales involves the ghost of a stonemason, believed to have fallen to his death during construction. His restless spirit is said to haunt the upper levels, forever bound to the home he was helping to build. Some visitors have even seen him staring out from the tower window, where no floor exists beneath his feet. But perhaps the darkest room of all is the baptismal chamber, where ritualistic echoes still seem to linger. People report being overcome with nausea, dread, or an overwhelming urge to flee. Animals refuse to enter. Cameras stop working. It's as if the house wants to keep its secrets buried in stone and silence. Woodchester Mansion doesn't just have ghosts. It feels like a ghost. Half built, half alive. A skeleton of Victorian ambition, filled with echoes of fear. To this day, nobody fully understands why construction was halted so abruptly. No blueprints were finished. No official reason ever given. Only legends. Only shadows. And if you listen closely, you might just hear them whispering. So, if you ever find yourself in the quiet woods of Gloucestershire, and you come across the dark silhouette of Woodchester Mansion, turn back, or step inside. But beware, some doors, once open, never truly close.